Good morning, Solarfest.
Good morning, Solarfest.
Woo! Woo! That's better. So we're doing things a little bit different this year. We're going to do a couple of workshops from the main stage. So if you want, all come on down to the main stage for our first workshop, Building a Climate Movement by Theo Tolka.
Hi everybody, welcome to Solarfest. It's beautiful to be with you. This event is part of what's necessary to save the planet, human beings learning to respect Mother Earth and to resist greedy oil companies. So we're so grateful to be here. We're 350 Vermont and we'll be running a climate camp all weekend. We're up behind the white tent up there. We have a whole weekend of workshops on climate change and the current science. And I hope you'll join us for some of that. I'm joined by May McBride. May. And the youngest presenter in climate in Solarfest history is up here also.
Right. Yay.
So we're just going to talk about creating a climate revolution for a little while, and maybe if you guys want to come down, it's great. First things first, we want to offer some gratitude to the sky for being so open and clear. Thank you, Mother Earth, for all you've done for us. Thank you, Father Sky. We're going to need your help in coming years, and we offer our life and work to protect you. We invite the help of Mother Earth in this weekend and divine help in general. We invite this Solarfest to be blessed with good luck and success and harmony and good music. And so, thank you, everybody.
All right. Yay.
You want to take a crack at it? Cool. Well, I'm Theo Talcott. I'm started Transition Town Manchester in Manchester, Vermont. I've been volunteering here for 5 years. I love Solarfest. I think it's a great sort of community space of working hard on what's most important, which is saving the Earth. And thank you all for coming out. And let's hope we all call our friends and get more people to come. So I just watched Gasland 2 twice this week. I don't know if you guys are following the issue of fracking. Anybody following the issue of fracking out there? Okay, hydrofracking is basically changes the story of what we're in. They're wrecking the water supply of this country right now. We're in an era of what's called extreme energy, where they are the power of the big boys with their toys and their exploding dynamite has gotten so strong now that they're blowing up the shale bed underneath the United States and all over the world, and it's causing the water to get ruined. So we really have to start a resistance movement against oil companies and irresponsible capitalism and all that stuff. So it's okay to have a green lifestyle and be organic and bike, but that is no substitute for resisting corporations and the takeover of our government. It has to stop. What's happening in DC cannot go on for very long and have us have a livable future. So I really encourage everybody to just stop accepting the unacceptable. America is not supposed to be this way. We're not supposed to have our government bought off by oil companies. It's just not right. And we have to make a movement that changes the world. We are not on track now to heading towards a livable future. Like if you kind of plan out 50 years in your mind about where we're going as a society, it's really not there. And I think that should be unacceptable to us. We as a species have a right to survive. We have a right to demand a livable future. That's some language that's coming out of Peaceful Uprising and Tim DeChristopher's out in Utah. Demand a livable future. We have a right to that. So hopefully that's what we'll work together to build this weekend, a movement that saves the Earth. And thank you, everybody. That's about all I have.
Hey everybody. So it's kind of intimidating to be up on this stage, but I don't know, it's a strange way to do a workshop. But I'm Maeve McBride, and I am the coordinator for 350 Vermont, and we are the statewide chapter of the organization you probably know quite well, Bill McKibben's 350.org. And so our organization does a couple things. One is to support the national campaigns that 350 and international campaigns that they do, and also to work on some of the issues that are right here at home. And just to start by saying that we're really excited. This is the first year that we've kind of partnered with Solarfest in a bigger way. As Theo mentioned, we have the climate camp area, which is kind of over by the bonfire, and it's open to everyone. And we will be having some of our workshops there and some of the workshops in that track at other places too. We're in red in your program. So lots of great stuff going on. We have so many different members of the climate movement, both locally and regionally here. I see out there in the audience at least one of the Climate Summer Riders. Yay! And they are here volunteering for y'all. And they have a really great program. They get on their bikes all summer long, and they bike in teams of 5 or 6 people, youth, they're 18 to 25. And they go all around and they try to educate people. Oh, Julie's putting on her shirt right now so you can see them. And they go around and do climate service projects and education and photo petitions. So if you get a chance, definitely talk to some of those guys. They're really passionate about what they're doing, and it's really exciting to see the youth really engaged in this movement. Let's see, what else do I want to share? Let me just talk a little bit about 2 of our campaigns. I think the intention of this segment was to give you a bit of an update about what's going on. Do you want to say something, Spencer? So one of the issues that we're working hard here in Vermont is the tar sands issue. And for those of you who might not know, there is an existing pipeline, oil pipeline, that runs through the Northeast Kingdom, going from Montreal to Portland, Maine. And right now, it carries oil from Portland to Montreal. But there are plans afoot to have it carry tar sands going in the opposite direction. So reversing what we call a reversal of the flow. And I'm sure some of you have seen the pretty tragic oil spills of late. There was one in Arkansas, right in a suburban neighborhood. And there was one in the Kalamazoo River in Michigan a couple of years ago. And with tar sands, it's extremely hard to clean up once it spills. So we're working hard to keep tar sands out of Vermont. So you can help us with that. We have lots of ways to get involved. We have look, we're joined by a kitty up here. Yay. We have a walk happening along the pipeline next weekend, going from North Troy, which is almost at the border with Canada, down to Irisburg. And we'll have more info about that over in our area if you want to find out. We also we'll be doing our second year of a resolution campaign. This is where towns stand up at one of our most democratic ways that we can be in Vermont at town meeting day, and pledge that their town is against tar sands, will remove tar sands oil from any supply chains that the town might be using. And we had 30 towns vote on and sign resolutions. So big hooray! As in many things, Vermont leads the way in many progressive areas. So really exciting. The other campaign I'll just talk a little bit about is the divestment campaign. Anyone out there have not heard about divestment? as a new strategy in the 5 minutes? Okay, great. So I'll say a little bit about it. Divestment is a strategy that's been used in the past. Probably most recently, the one that many of us are aware of is with South African apartheid. And divestment is a movement where institutions, universities, hospitals, faith organizations, all choose to divest. That means take their funds out of investments that might be held back in the 80s by businesses that were operating in apartheid Africa. Well, now how we're using this divestment strategy for the climate movement is to divest from the top 200 companies that are the fossil fuel companies, right? These are the companies like Exxon. So, and I'll go through the math. I have an engineering background, so I hope I don't bore you with the math, but there's some really important math that Bill McKibben has been talking about lately. And that is that there are kind of three numbers to talk about. One is that we can't have, internationally, we've agreed that we can't have more than 2 degrees Celsius warming, right? So that's kind of the threshold of catastrophic climate change. Already we're close to 1 degree Celsius of change, and we're feeling that, right? These torrential rains, the crazy hurricanes, all the extreme weather, the fires, the droughts. So 2 degrees. And the international community has stood up and said, no, we have to do what we have to do to keep it at 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the scientists can tell us how much we can still burn to get us up to that point, burn of fossil fuels. And that's about 500 or so, 500, 600 gigatons of carbon, right, to get to that 2 degrees Celsius. So then the third number is where we get into trouble, because the third number is how much burnable carbon are in the reserves of those fossil fuel corporations. They have 5 times that amount of carbon. They have 2,700 something gigatons of burnable fossil fuels that would create carbon dioxide, way above the 2 degrees Celsius mark. And not only do they have those reserves are still underground, many of them, luckily, but they are on their books. So these companies claim these reserves as their own. Okay, so those, you can think of those reserves of fossil fuels are circulating in our economy in some sense, right? The dollar values of them. So the divestment idea is that we want to pull any investments out of these fossil fuel corporations and move them into a much more healthy, resilient, renewables, localized economies, that sort of a movement, so that we keep these fossil fuels in the ground. So if you want to learn more about divestment, I don't want to go on too long, but if you do want to learn more about divestment, it's a movement that is taking off wildfire on college campuses. There are about 350 college campuses across the U.S. that have campaigns that are trying to get their universities to divest from fossil fuels. So it's a really exciting movement, and there will be students here this weekend from several of those campaigns. They're doing a panel, I believe it's tomorrow. I saw that someone else is talking about the nitty-gritty of divestment, like how could you do it yourself? How could you invest your retirement or your college savings more responsibly and socially responsible investing? So there's lots more to learn about that this weekend. So Julie, would you be willing to come up and say a little something about Climate Summer? Riders? Yay! Come on up.
Hello, my name is Julie Salvatoriello. I am myself from Hanover, New Hampshire, and I have a little group of 6 counting me, and we're part of this program, Climate Summer. There are 22 riders in all, and we're a bunch of young people. between the ages of 18 and 25. Most of us are in college. I'm personally not. I didn't do a lot of this stuff in college, so I'm kind of making up for it now. And we're wearing these bright orange shirts, so you'll probably see us walking around like there's one back there. Hi, Ben. And we have dedicated our summer to riding around solely by bicycle. We're not going to get in any cars. And it's been really hard. Vermont, New Hampshire, there's a lot of hills here. And we're trying to grow the climate movement, basically. We are spending about a week in each town. We biked to each one. We biked here from Rutland today, or yesterday. Woo! Nice, scary gravel roads. We've got 2 trailers that we're dragging along with us. We switch those off. And we're trying to grow the movement, really. We're trying to connect towns. We're trying to create sparks and see if anything catches. We're to connect the towns, to grow the movement within the towns, to grow the movement within the state. We collect a lot of contacts. We're collecting a lot of leads in the business sense to just get more and more people involved and grow more of the movement. And we've been learning so much. There's so much information that I didn't have before I came here. I'm more of a permaculture, sustainable agriculture type. And I'm learning so much about all the politics of all this. And I met Maeve, and Maeve is the coolest person. And her children are adorable. And it's been hard. But it's been a crazy lot of fun. And I've been working with a really great group. And there's a lot of things we're just trying to figure out on our own. I'm technically the team leader, but I think the most that I do is really budget, because my team works together really well. We've got an event coordinator, an outreach coordinator, a media coordinator, and a new media coordinator. And it's just all these things about gathering together, and we call up radio stations and we tweet things, and it's really exciting for me, who's never done anything like this before, to just get thrown into it. And I don't think I really knew about divestment before I came here. So this is about the one month mark. We've got another month to go. And we've been to Brattleboro, Middlebury, and Rutland. And we're going up to Newport to join in the Tar Sands Rally, Tar Sands March, the Kingdom Walk? Kingdom Walk. Thank you, Maeve. And after that, we're going to Lancaster, and then Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and there's going to be a big rally against the coal plant there. We're joining up with our Maine team, Maine as in the state of Maine. And then we're all going down to the Cape to look at the proposed site for Cape Wind, which will be the largest / first fully permitted offshore wind farm if we can get it started. It's been held up by a whole bunch of little things for the past several years. So, thank you very much for your time. This is my impromptu speech, and thank you, Maeve.
Thanks, Julie. I just want to mention some of the other, I said this, but I didn't mention the names of other people who are involved in Climate Camp. We have also Rising Tide Vermont, who will be talking about the gas pipeline up in Addison County during this weekend. And we have members from 350 Massachusetts, which is another statewide 350 chapter. So they will all be around. And actually the program director for Climate Summer, the program you just heard about, will be here too. So if you know of any young people that would be interested in something like that, it would be a great time to connect about that program. So I think that's all I have.
Well, just to close up this portion, I'd like us all to join in a visualization. So if you can harness your inner magic, if you can turn inward, I'd like us to together sort of visualize the weather staying like this most of the weekend, everybody turning your love towards the sky. I'd like us to let us see that pipeline of fracking gas that they want to send down into the middle of Vermont. We're seeing that being blocked. Come see Rising Tide talk about that. We're seeing a lot of people come to Solarfest this year, just the right amount, a full bunch of parking lots. Wonderful. And let's see fracking being blocked all over the world. The truth coming out. Let us see the beginning of the age of truth, where the big lies are no longer running the world, and where the truth about solar power and people power and community and organic food become the dominant way of the future, so that we can have a livable future together for thousands of years here on this earth. May it be so. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Solarfest. Come to Climate Camp.
No. I wish you would. You want to hear one more? I wish you would. If you want to hear one more, let me hear it says, Scatterlights is number one. One more time. Now you're going to get this big one. And you know, I am tired. So you know, scatter lights have to go.
I'm going to repeat this list over here. Can everybody see this list? Speed, we just did that. Simplicity of installation. Think about what you've seen today. Think about what you've heard today. Design, flexibility, service, and innovation. Okay, this is the criteria, not just speed.
Corrosion concerns. Our systems are made of extruded aluminum and stainless steel hardware. I think Ron mentioned, the longevity of the material. They say aluminum lasts 600 years or something like that. I don't know, who figured that one out, but 600 years and it lasts a long time. We're almost there. Sladacious! Sladacious!
Done.
Done!
Okay, stop, Ari.
6 minutes, 10 seconds.
10 seconds!
Okay, everybody, that's Sladacious. Give it up one more time. Sladacious!
We can go on a pitched asphalt roof. We can go on. We've got a different system for a standing seam roof. Systems up on the roof of a retail building. The entire neighborhood's wiped out. There's houses missing. The retail building is still staying there. And our system is completely in place. Not a single from the roof. I could if I wanted to sabotage it better, but I'm a fair player.
Four hands up.
Time? We do. 4.
Done.
9 minutes and 2 seconds.
Machine.
How much?
9 minutes and 2 seconds.
9 minutes and 2 seconds, everybody.
Yeah.
Give it up for Team D.
Very good. Thank you.
Look at that. And how does it look? It's beautiful.
Macro. You guys.
Okay, that's the Sheen team. 5 minutes and 9 seconds. Did I get 9 minutes and what is Ari?
5 minutes, 9 seconds.
9 minutes and 2 seconds.
2.8 seconds.
2.8, 9 minutes and 2.8 seconds. Woo! One more time. Give it up for the Sheen team.
Sheen team.
Step up and step back, which is like some people, I know I'm inclined to participate a lot in group conversations and take up a lot of space, but being really aware of how much you're contributing to the conversation and creating that space to let other people who maybe aren't as talkative or feel as comfortable sharing in the group, stepping back so that other people feel more comfortable engaging in the conversation. Another one that I like a lot is just acknowledging that oppression exists, and this sometimes can be weird and abstract, but there are systems of power in our society that operate in big institutional levels, and there are also systems of power that operate in our personal interactions with each other. And some of those systems of power are sexism and racism and ableism and ageism. And so we're not here to debate about whether or not those things exist. We're just accepting that in this space together, we acknowledge that they exist and they might be a part of how we're engaging with each other, and we're not going to argue over whether or not it is sexist or racist or whatever. It's just we're just going to acknowledge that those things might happen and that we're here to move through to a different understanding together. And then another one that I like to add with that one is that this one is just if you're feeling offended by something, if you feel like you can just say, wow, that was really offensive, or I'm feeling hurt by that, or just calling attention to something, not so that we can have a group conversation about it, but so that you can just express that feeling, and so that we can all hold, be careful with each other and be gentle with each other, I guess. And then another one is if something's confusing, feel free to interrupt and be like, yo, what was that acronym you just used? You just said 4 acronyms in a row, and I don't know what any of those things are. So like try not to interrupt each other, but if you're feeling confused about what like words some or like acronyms people were saying or
I was talking about in Shenango County, they have the borders with Pennsylvania, right? And people there, they have too much apathy. And they say, well, I'm just a little guy, what can I do? You know, they're going to do it anyway. And that's what you got to change in people's behavior. They lost hope. They think that they have no control. And yet they want to, you know, that's because they're in the Marcellus Shale region. And see, like people where I live, there's the outcrop, so there's no. But I tell people there, they go, well, they're not going to come and frack this. Yes, but they're going to come here and dump all their poisons here. They have to find some place for dilution. And they think that that's just because there's no oil that they're okay. So they don't have to have a moratorium. You know, and like in my town, we went to the board meeting and they let it lapse. And they go, well, why should we do that? Well, that's the reason. You know,
I'm going to just cut you off for a second because we're going to get into some of that in our discussion later. And we're going to talk about like how we're going to work together to build power.
Yes, you got to, people are just...
Yeah. Is that okay if we save that thought for later?
Yes, I'm just so discouraged. I mean, I've been...
Could I say something about that? I look at the news every day and it says 3 hours, 4 hours, 300 headlines. 300 headlines a day is 10,000.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing stuff over and over and over that gives me hope. Far more that gives me hope than that I find discouraging. And believe me, I find a lot discouraging.
Yeah.
But I see so much that gives me hope, and so much of it is people doing things. They organize in ways that they don't even realize they're organizing.
All right, so I think that's a great thought, and I'm gonna move into just a few minutes of sharing about our definition of false solutions in this gas pipeline. So basically, a false solution is any solution to this word kind of turns what you say.
Does everyone feel cool with these agreements? Does that sound good for everyone?
So our definition of what a false solution is basically any proposed solution to the climate crisis that, while trying to fix one aspect of the problem, is at the same time creating a whole new set of ecological problems or reinforcing existing social systems that are a part of the problem and social inequities and injustices. And so when we're talking about the Vermont gas pipeline, basically it's a gas pipeline that brings fracked gas from the Northwest Territories and Alberta into Vermont. And it would be a 43-mile pipeline that the first phase is going from north of Burlington and Colchester down to Middlebury. And then the second phase of the project would go from Middlebury underneath Lake Champlain over to Ticonderoga, New York to serve the International Paper plants. And then later phases of the project would connect this pipeline up with the United States transmission grids, like these pipelines that you're talking about that they're trying to build through New York State, so that Vermont would kind of become this pass-through for gas that's being fracked in the Marcellus Shale region, to eventually be able to go in the opposite, in either direction. So right now the first phase of the project is in the regulatory permitting stages. There's a proposal before the Public Service Board, which is the decision-making body in Vermont that regulates, they have to give a certificate of public good to allow this project to start. And the second phase of the project is expected that they'll apply for the permits for that in the coming months. And so when we look at this as a false solution, one of the main reasons is because it's building out new fossil fuel infrastructure. Like natural gas is still a fossil fuel. It still has greenhouse gas emissions that some argue are higher than coal. The industry has done a really good job of greenwashing this, but it still is a fossil fuel, and we're still building out new infrastructure that locks us into fossil fuel consumption for the next 50 years.
Wouldn't last that long.
And so that's one reason why we consider it to be a false solution. Another is because of fracking and the extraction process. Like fracking right now is happening up in Alberta, in the Northwest Territories. Those are places where there's unceded Indigenous territory. There's like a lot of like low-income folks, and also in the fracking areas in New York and Pennsylvania, the Marcellus Shale area. There's a whole lot of like environmental racism and classism that happens in the extraction areas, and these communities are like disproportionately impacted by the extraction of natural gas and fracked gas. And then the ecological impacts of fracking alongside of that. Are people familiar generally when I say fracking with what that means? I'm gonna give like a quick fracking for gas. Yeah, fracking also gas.
There's Gasland too now.
There is now Gasland too. It's on tour. Check it out. And basically, it's like this, a new way of extracting gas from the earth, where a huge amount of water and chemicals is like shot down some crazy tube, creates cracks in the rock, and then gas is allowed to escape that otherwise would not be accessible to extract.
Yeah, it makes it a mini earthquake. Like all the chemicals kind of explode.
Split the rocks apart. Yeah.
Well, the gas companies will tell you they've been doing it for 50, 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've done some vertical wells with just water, but now they're going a mile down and then 2 miles sideways, and or more, at least 2 miles, and then they're using about 500 chemicals, all of which is exempt from disclosure thanks to the Halliburton loophole pushed through by Cheney in 2005, and it's causing earthquakes. And the reason they say that it is as bad or worse than coal is because the amount of energy to do that, and the thousands of diesel truckloads per well, not to even mention the methane that escapes, which is something like 100 times or more the greenhouse gas of CO2. So it is as bad or worse than mountaintop coal removal. If I could mention something about that, the history.
Actually, can I continue with the presenting? I'm trying to give a quick presentation, and I also want to be aware of our agreement of step up and step back, that certain people have been speaking more than others, and let's just try to hold that. So another reason that we consider this to be a false solution is because of some of the corporate ownership structures that we see. Vermont Gas is owned by, I'm going to mess this up, is owned by Gas Metro, which is a Canadian company that also owns Green Mountain Power, and it also owns the Velco, the Vermont Electric Company, and Gas Metro is owned by Enbridge, which is the majority share is owned by Enbridge, and Enbridge is like this huge, oil and gas mega company, Canadian company. That is also the same company that's trying their darndest to get a pipeline to move tar sands out to the East Coast. So when we look at solutions to the climate crisis, we don't see that they can include like these same corporate money-making systems. So like the people that are creating the problem in the first place, that are these like corporate interests, are not going to come up with a solution. They're just coming up with a new way to like pump out as much money and profit as they can, and they're not the people that are going to like come in and save the world. And then another reason why we look at this is the last reason that we're going to share today, why we see this gas pipeline as a false solution, is because of the decision-making process that we have here in the state of Vermont. It's, basically the Public Service Board is the main decision maker in this case, and it's 3 older white men who sit on a board. They serve a term of 6 years. And it's a very technical and legal process that people can like apply to become interveners, and basically their lawyers would represent them in the case. It's a series of like questions and answers that they have some public hearings, but they don't legally have to like consider the public comment in their testimony. There's really no democratic way for just regular folks to get involved and have a say in the project. And so we see that as a false solution because because it's kind of like reinforcing these really non-democratic modes of environment. So this can just be like anyone, and if a lot of people have ideas, I can start a stack. But
I have a false solution that I run across and I just started following for years. I like to work outside. You know, I've worked outside my whole life. But been working outside, you know, I sort of look up at the sky and I see these planes flying by. It's like 10 years ago since I've kind of moved on to a different part of the world just because of that reason. There's a couple of movies that I don't know if anybody's seen. Both from the same guy, actually, just saw them. The guy's name is Dan Wigan. The movies are What in the World Did They Spray? The second movie is Why in the World Did They Spray?
In the road, what?
Why in the world are they spraying?
Oh.
And what in the world are they spraying?
So are they spraying this stuff and talking about it as a solution to the climate crisis?
They've just surfaced like a couple of years ago. The United States government has finally come out and admitted to it. They said, oh yeah, we're deploying two programs. One is called SAG, S-A-G, which is a stratospheric aerosol and geoengineering. The second one is SRM, which is solar radiation management. And they have a theory that, you know, by doing all this, they're going to stop global warming. When in fact, they're creating global warming, in my opinion. The author who's come up with these movies and the rest of it. I have there's actually a YouTube video you can watch. And there's 10 bullet points here that pretty much describe exactly what's going on. And I'll just leave you guys with these. And you can just follow them. And you can just become aware, I guess, just become conscious of it. There's massive spraying aerosols going on every day, 24/7, globally. It's not just an issue here. I moved to Hawaii, so it's happening there. It's happening in LA. I stop off in LA. It's happening everywhere. Okay. I watch movies, foreign movies. You see it. Oh yeah, look, there's chemtrails in the sky. Chemtrails. Anybody heard that word? Yeah. Well, it's huge, and it's taking down the planet. It's the worst cloud of all time.
well, yeah, we'll keep these up here.
Yeah.
People want to see it.
Private or government? Private or government?
What's that?
Private outfits or government?
They've actually started turning it over to private contractors. They like to do that, just like Halliburton. You know what I mean? They don't want to get their fingers dirty, you know, so they hire other private contractors. You can go online and there's ads. Oh yeah, use my spray machinery. It's better than any other, you know. Come and pay me, you know.
We'll have these if people want to.
Yeah, please get the YouTube information off of there. There's a link there that's you should watch that at least. The advisor to Obama comes on.
We're thinking of some other examples of false solutions and why, and maybe we can sort of be brief so that other people can respond with their ideas and reactions, if that will work. I thought I saw your hand. No, okay. Oh.
Nuclear is always a really touchy subject. I was just talking with one of the Corona writers, I think it's here for he might have moved on, and he's cycling around and spreading the word about climate change and how we need to do things for it, and he's going to grad school for nuclear engineering. So there are definitely people that are on the side with trying to get rid of fossil fuels that are still, full steam ahead with nuclear power. We can make it safe. I'm not claiming that. I don't know enough about it to really make an informed opinion personally. But that's definitely linked. And I was thinking earlier, your definition of what a false solution was, like something that will create a problem, maybe down the road or something like that. Like solar panels use non-renewable resources to get created, and we're nowhere near that point where it's going to be an issue. But I was just trying to think of how things might not be a false solution if you're looking for the silver bullet for energy source. You know what I mean? I feel like you're always going to be engaging in a battle. What's the lesser of two evils here?
RMS.org, NIRS.org, and they have pretty much analyzed the whole idea that nuclear power might be a solution. And basically, the amount of rock that you have to mine to get the little bit of the magic stuff that does it, between that and transport and the 18-inch thick stainless steel walls of the reactor vessel and the concrete and all the rest of it, the capacity factor 50% on an average, maybe a little better nowadays. Somewhere between, nothing goes wrong with it, it will have to run half of its lifespan to break even on greenhouse gases at best. And if something goes wrong with it, forget about it, let alone one huge traffic jam when everybody's trying to escape from Vermont Yankee or Idiot Point. And the half-life of some of the byproducts runs into billions of years. So if you need even one little LED light to guard that for a billion years, there goes your greenhouse savings. It's bullshit nuclear power. And they're pushing breeder reactors again, which they say is an infinite source of fuel, because there's a lot of U-238, relatively speaking,